Welcome back to patreon.com/the Derrick Lamon Experience. You want stuff shop for your gaming news, as well as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, etc., etc. Um, I had an actual episode of the week in gaming, and there is a problem with the recording, and I figured out what the problem is, and it will be addressed in the next episode. But I didn't have anything for the free feeds, but I also wanted to tackle this situation because I'd already done recording for the week. So, excuse me, the details of the PlayStation 5 Pro have leaked. Now, we know that some of the specs leaked before. Everybody's like, there's not going to be another one. You guys know what you're talking about. You're out of your mind. They did it last gen. It was going to happen this gen as well. It is happening. It seems we're going to find out more about the console within next month. At the time of recording, this is still August. By the time you guys hear this on Apple, Spotify, etc., it will be September. So, a new report on the PlayStation 5 Pro has revealed alleged new information about the unannounced console. In an article on Dead Lab's reliable PlayStation leaker, Bill Kuhn said the final name of the mid-gen refresh is indeed PlayStation PS5 Pro, and a published sketch of its design based on what it's claimed to be the final packaging box of the new console. So it is apparently going to look exactly like the PS5 Slim, except where the Slim has that one little stripe, the Pro will have three stripes, I suppose, and this is to indicate that this is, whereas the last gen, when the Slim came out of the PS4, it was just one level, and then when we got the Pro, it was basically two Slims stacked on top of each other. Keep up with me here. The sketch shows a console design similar to the existing PlayStation 5 Slim, white in color and with two USB-C ports and a power button on the front. But there are three black stripes in the middle of the outer layer of the PS5 Pro that are not found on the base models. Bill Kuhn noted that the PS5 Pro appears slightly thicker than the PS5 Slim. Okay, so it's going to be, if it's slightly thicker, that puts it back in the range almost of the launch PS5, except it's going to have those three black stripes there. Now, I don't know how this works with the new face plates. Will there be completely separate plates for the PS5 Pro? We don't know. The PS5 Pro seen by Bill Kuhn does not include a disk drive. What's unclear is whether Sony plans to release a version of the console with a disk drive. A price is not mentioned. The controller remains the same as the base DualSense. The last time out, it was the same controller, except on the DualShock that came with the Pro, and then all the DualShocks that came after that. Instead of just having the light bar on the back of the console, there was a very thin light bar on the touchpad of the console as well. This time there won't be any changes. Those of you who were hoping that you would get a DualSense Edge with the PS5 Pro, that's not going to happen either. You're going to get the standard DualSense, which is still the best controller on the market. A PS5 Pro has been rumored for some time, with reports indicating a release in November. In March, alleged PS5 Pro specs leaked online. Specs IGN understood to be legit. The headline improvements are to the CPU, which is said to be identical to the standard PS5 CPU, but with a high CPU frequency mode. That reportedly amounts to a 10% increase to 3.85 gigahertz. The GPU, meanwhile, is said to enable faster rendering and higher quality ray tracing, powered by 33.5 teraflops. The standard PS5 offers 10.28 teraflops. However, a direct PS5 to PS5 Pro comparison will work out at around 10.28 versus 16 and 17 teraflops. Of particular interest, the PS5 Pro is said to have an upscaling anti-aliasing solution called PSSR, PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution Upscaling, custom machine learning architecture, and an AI accelerator. Elsewhere, PS5 Pro has a detachable disk drive and 1 terabyte of storage space. The souped-up refresh is reportedly designed to boost interest in PS5 ahead of the release of Grand Theft Auto 6 in 2025. As IGN has reported, there's a lot riding on GTA 6, and not just for Rockstar and Take-Two. Sony has formed when it comes to releasing a Pro version of its consoles. Of course, the PS4 Pro, for example, launched in November of 2016, 3 years after the PlayStation 4 came out. A PS5 Pro launched this November would come 4 years after the PS5 launched in November of 2020. The release of the Pro comes amid declining sales of the PS5 itself. In May, Sony said PS5 sales had peaked after the console entered the quote latter stages of its life cycle. There was a slight price increase, I believe, in Japan that was announced just recently. Here's the thing. Am I going to invest in this? Uh, yeah, probably. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, there's no point. I got the PS4 Pro. Like, I'm a gamer. I'm also a member of the PlayStation ecosystem. Um, I do want to see with this PSSR and that's anti-aliasing and all this stuff, how good it really works. So I'm desperately, I'm really hyped to try this thing out. For developers, I would imagine, like I said, if you subscribe to my Patreon, I talked about things a little bit. You would imagine that the dev kits for this console would have actually already been in the hands of Sony first party studios. There was a picture online the other day of Hideo Kojima sitting at a desk, and it looks like it was Death Stranding 2 on the monitor that he was playing, and the DualSense was plugged into a box, and then the box had a cover over it. So we would assume that it was either the retail version of the PS5 Pro or the dev kit for the PS5 Pro. And everybody's like, "Well, you don't know what it is." And I'm like, "Well, that's very fair. That's a fair thing to say. However, we already know what the standard PS5 dev kit looks like, and we know what the launch version and the slim version of the PS5 look like. So why would they go through so much trouble to cover up this version he's playing with now? Because I guarantee you, like it was a DualSense controller he was using. It wasn't an Xbox dev kit he was, playing that thing on. So I would assume it was either dev kit for the PS5 Pro, or it may be the retail version. I would maybe the dev kit doesn't even look any different than the current PlayStation 5 dev kit. Who the hell knows? But yeah, this is going to be big. This is a big step, because Rockstar Games, they're betting a lot on Grand Theft Auto 6. It has been 11 years since a Grand Theft Auto title, a mainline brand new Grand Theft Auto title has been released. And by the time the game actually released, it's going to be 12 years. So they're betting big on this. And a lot of people want to play the game in the best state they can possibly play it on. Um, the interesting thing is, when the specs were leaked for the Series X, and then Sony came out and gave the specs of the PlayStation 5 Pro. There's that email that Phil sent around internally in Microsoft that we found out about as a result of the FTC, uh, against the Microsoft Activision Blizzard acquisition. Um, Phil states, after today, it looks like we do have more powerful hardware. I think everybody can see that, and it's like, yeah, but games are still not running well on the Series X, and there are developers complaining about the fact that they have to develop their games for the Series S as well, or they can't release it on the Series X, right? They've pigeonholed people in. So if you want to play the best version of GTA 6, understand this: it's not going to come to PC till a year later. So you're more than likely going to have to play that on the PlayStation 5 because it's not coming to the 4 or the Xbox One, right? So this could be very, very interesting. As far as the disk drive, I'm willing to bet that is you can get the detachable drive just like with the current PlayStation Slim for PlayStation 5 Slim. I wonder if it's going to have those tiny little legs that came with the Slim. I don't have a Slim. I have two PS5s. I have both. Both of them are launch models. So I'd be interested to see if it's going to come with those tiny little legs or if they'll give you that nice vertical stand for the PS5 Pro. Who knows? Um, I don't know. I really don't know. Um, the rumors have been around for a while. Apparently, per Kotaku, the rumors started swirling around the end of 2023 with claims it was being developed as quote Project Trinity. They followed in March this year with talk of proprietary upscaling under the amazing name of PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution (PSSR). It was also claimed that it would almost be 3 times as powerful as the current Xbox Series X's 12 teraflops, with Sony acting fast to strike down videos containing such information. I do remember that they did strike down basically any video that talked about the specs. Um, yeah, again, Bill Wilkin apparently says he's seen the packaging the console will come in, but in an attempt to avoid copyright strikes, they made the unusual move of drawing the design themselves. This is not that unusual because when the PS4 Pro, when we were getting geared up for that information, I remember um somebody at Foxconn had showed it to somebody, but they didn't want to get in trouble, so basically the person described it and they kind of drew what it would look like, and they got very very fucking close. They're like, essentially think of the way the PS2 has the different the lines and grates or whatever. Think of that, but in a more modern style. And I'm like, okay, so this is gonna somewhat resemble the PS2, like the launch version, or well, the Slim, it looked like that. It was just Slim, but um, we expect this to be announced. Sony apparently has a state of play next month. And like I said, by the time you guys hear this on the free feeds, it will be September. I think this show needs to be bigger than just a state of play. I think it should be a Sony, PlayStation 5 showcase. I really do. Like they shit the bed with the state of play around quote unquote E3 time. Um Show the console, but we also need to see, like, let's see an update on Wolverine. Like, is this Venom game? When are we going to get that? Let's see what Sony Bend is working on. Let us see what Sucker Punch is working on. If it is, excuse me, if it is Ghost of Tsushima 2, at least give us a little teaser of the new Naughty Dog IP. We need to see something. You can't hold the state of play and keep showing off a bunch of third party stuff. And I would imagine, Until Dawn is more than likely going to be there, considering the fact that it is coming very soon. But like, we could do without. You're gonna have to show us some new shit. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I'm more than likely going to invest in the PlayStation 5 Pro. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. Like, and if I do get my hands on one, then yeah, I will do an unboxing video. But anyway, that's all the time I have. Just wanted to get a quick get some quick audio in there for the free feeds because I didn't give you guys anything last week and I had issues with the show this week and I didn't want to put out a product like that. So thank you for being patient. I'm going to end this like I end everything else. Believe in yourself first and foremost, because if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. As always, my name is Derrick Lamon Jackson. Of course, that is my time. You guys have a good one. Peace out.